and welcome back to SlearningBlue.com.
In this lecture, we're going to learn about looping in Java. So we need to understand what loop and looping is first. So what is a loop then? A loop is a sequence of instructions that is continually repeated until a certain condition is reached. So basically what that means is you want to run a code, right? Run your same set of code until you reach a certain condition. That's called looping. Okay, so looping is used to iterate over the range of number, text, array, elements, and so on. For instance, let's say you want to print out hello world 10 times, right? So normally without looping, you can be doing like this: system.out.println hello world, system.out.println hello world, like 10 times in here, right? So you've got like 10 lines of code. So without loop, you're going to be printing hello world like 10 times, right? This is the easiest example of looping here. So how are you going to do that with loop then? Well, let's see. Well, first, I have class loop 101, and I've got this main method. So I've got this for loop. So we're going to be using for loop as an example here. So here, I got for loop, for. Okay, that's a keyword of Java for looping. Then I've got this int. So what I mean is, I'm going to actually start from 1. Then I'm going to continue. So I've got I initialize this integer variable I equal 1, right? Then I've got this semicolon. Then I'm saying I, if it's less than or equal to 10, right? So it starts from 1, then less than or equal to 10, right? I want to continue looping, right? Then I added I++, which means that every time I execute this, I add 1 to the I. So I know it looks confusing, but once you play around with it, it's going to be very simple. All right. So again, for the loop here, I got this for keyword, and I start with I equal 1. So you have to put the semicolon. Okay, this is the syntax of for loop. So I equal 1. Right? Starts from 1, then I is less than or equal to 10. So once you have reached 10, then you stop, right? So you want to continue for loop until it's less than or equal to 10. Then I increment 1 on every loop, on every iteration. So when I do this line of coding here, I'm going to get hello world here. Alright, so as you can see here, instead of writing this 10 lines of code, I was able to write in this, like using for loop, only 3 lines of code. Now think about only 10 times, like 1,000 times, right? So in here, you're gonna have to write hello world 1,000 times, right? Not only you have like 1,000 lines of code, which doesn't make any sense, it just prints hello world, right? Also, it's gonna take you probably like half an hour or an hour to write hello world 1,000 times. System.println 1,000 times, right? Let's say 10,000. It will take you an hour, right? However, with here, you can do that with just this line of 3 lines of code. So instead of 10, you can actually put 10,000 here. And it's going to do the same thing. It's going to print out 10,000. So that is actually what this for loop is. So I'm going to give you another example of for loop here. So my condition here is my x equals 0, right? So if x is less than 10, right? So x is less than 10, okay, I'm going to keep continuing the loop. So x is less than 10, true. So it's going to go to this loop code. Then I add +1 here. And it's going to go back here and do, now your x is 1. So 1 is less than 10, true. So it's going to go back here, execute this code. +1, you add 1 more. Now your x is 2. And so on, right? So until your x is less than or equal to 10, right? You can actually continue this loop. So as soon as this x becomes 10, it's gonna be false, right? 10 is not less than 10, so it's gonna be false. It's x gonna end the code. So if you look into this diagram here, you can understand it more clearly what for loop does, right? So start with 0, and you do x 0 is less than 10. Yes. Then you execute your code, loop code. Then you add 1 more. So for every x, after you do the loop, you're gonna add 1 more. Right. So that's what it is here, right? So this is the same code like before. So I got I equals 0 here, starting with 0. Then I is less than 10. So then I'm incrementing 1 with I++, which is right here. So I++, think about this +1 here. And I is less than 10, which is this block of code here. And I equals 0 or x equals 0 is this one here. So it's going to print this number is until you've got 10 or more greater than 10. So as you can see here, first one it goes number is 0, right? So you have 0. And it's going to say it's 0 less than 10? Yes. So it's going to print out number is 0. Now it's going to add 1 more here. Right? Now your number becomes 1. So I equal 1 and I is less than 10? Yes. then it's going to say number is 1, then it's going to add 1 more, and now I is 2. 2 is less than 10? Yes. So it goes on and on until your number is 10, right? So as soon as your number is equal to 10, so 10 is less than 10? No, right? So it's going to not execute this line of code here. So you can see here, it only executed until number 9. So now we learned what for loop is. Let's now jump into our IntelliJ and write some code using for loop. So I'm actually going to go back to IntelliJ here, and I'm actually going to create a new class here, and I'm going to say for loop. And just like before, we're going to create our main method. So here, I'm actually going to do for int I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. Alright, so here, I'm actually going to do system.out.println, and I'm going to say number is, and in here, I'm actually going to do number I, oops, I. So again here, so my x, I, here is I, or you can use x as well, it doesn't matter. You don't have to use I. So I'm just going to do x, okay, to make it more clear to explain. The for, right? This is a for loop. For loop. Iterate till x is less than 10. So here, my x here is 0, starts with 0. Then here it says x is less than 10. So it goes to this block. If it's true, right? So it's yes, 0 is less than 10. It's going to execute this line of code here. So number is 0. Then what it does is x plus plus means it adds number 1 here, right? Once it does that, now your number x becomes 1, and so on. So it keeps continuing. So if I run this code here, it's going to say number 0 to 9, just like in here. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you guys understood what for loop is. And it's also one of the very, very important topic in Java. You're going to use for loop a lot. So that's it for this lecture. I'll see you guys in our next lecture.